You're watching Golden State Warriors Today by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Chase Senior. Coming up on today's show, Steph Curry not closing the door on a reunion with Kevin Durant, that according to Brian Windhorst. And is Andrew Wiggins going to leave the Warriors at some point, or with his value sky high right now coming off his first All-Star season and how well he played in the NBA Finals, could the Warriors look to deal him for a lot of assets? I'd say no to that, but we still got to talk about it. But we start off with this. Steph Curry, according to Brian Windhorst, has not shut down the idea of Kevin Durant coming back to the Bay Area for a reunion. Now, Brian Windhorst was on Get Up. That's when he said this about Steph and KD. Steph Curry's got the kind of clout where he can shut this stuff down, but he's not. And this is really interesting for a couple of reasons, because we know Steph Curry has now entered the stratosphere of some of the best players in the history of basketball after winning a fourth NBA championship and a Finals MVP. And we know that Steph Curry wants to win right now. And KD would literally make the Warriors unbeatable throughout the course of a playoff run. We saw it for 3 years in which they won 2 NBA championships. Kevin Durant was a 2-time NBA Finals MVP during that stretch, and then year 3, he popped his Achilles. Klay Thompson suffered that torn ACL. That's the only reason why they didn't win 3 consecutive NBA championships. And while a couple of years have passed since then, Kevin Durant still at the peak of his power, still a very special player, and KD on this Warriors team would fit in seamlessly because it worked seamlessly before because he loves to hoop, and the Warriors play a selfless style of basketball. But there's also this. The Warriors are always deep in the luxury tax. So from a business perspective, is Joe Lacob willing to once again take in another max contract in addition to the max deals that he's paying multiple players on this team? And that's why, in turn, it's important to draft and develop. And that's what the Warriors are trying to do right now. They're coming off a year in which they won the NBA championship. They have the current construction of the roster that allows them to compete right now in the immediacy of the moment. But there are also these young guns on the roster who they're trying to develop and groom so that they can assume larger roles this upcoming year. But as Steph, Klay, and Draymond continue to get a little bit older, they will maximize their abilities multiple years down the road. And frankly, I want to see what James Wiseman, Moses Moody, Jonathan Kuminga, Andrew Wiggins, and Jordan Poole can do with this team all at 100%. Wiseman can make this team really special. We talked about it earlier today on Warriors Today, on our first video. Moses Moody, elite three-point potential. Jonathan Kuminga, he could be the next Jaylen Brown. Jordan Poole is a walking bucket. Andrew Wiggins, a very good two-way player. You match all of that up with the players already on this team, this Warriors team without KD. They can run it back, and they can win a second consecutive NBA championship. But I do want to ask you this, because Warriors fans, they don't want KD back, and I don't think Golden State needs him back. What would your one-word reaction be if KD does go back to Golden State? Let me know. And think about this long and hard, and then get that into the comment section right now. Still to come on Warriors Today, could Andrew Wiggins leave the Warriors? First, though, would Durant's legacy be tarnished if he went back to the Warriors? This coming from Kendrick Perkins, and I thought he made a couple of good points here. By the way, Perk, one of the best and most lively NBA analysts right now. I think he's changed ESPN's NBA coverage. If I'm Kevin Durant, Perk said, there's no way in hell that I want to go back to Golden State. If he does, it would tarnish his legacy forever. If he goes back, he can win more rings and help Steph Curry's legacy. If I'm the Warriors, I'm staying pat with what I got. They have the culture and the mixture of youth as well as veterans. And he's right. And that's something that we've continued to harp on. The Warriors are looking at Kevin Durant right now, and there are probably conversations being had within that facility and in text threads among some of these players, and they're like, you know what? Should we trade away some of these young assets? Like, we could put together one of the best trade packages for KD. Yeah, it'd be fun, and we would be borderline unstoppable, but there's also the challenge that competitors always want of trying to accomplish a task that others think is really hard. The Warriors were able to do that. They won the ring. They have the hardware without Kevin Durant. Now, there's no doubt he's still one of the league's best, and he's one of the greats of all time. He's still playing an elite brand of basketball. This past year, 55 games played, which a little bit of a concern as he's 34 years old and the injuries continue to pile up, nearly 30 points per game. I mean, a decimal point beyond, away from averaging 30. The year before that, in 35 games played, as he suffered more injuries, nearly 27 points per game. But the Nets were about a toenail away from maybe getting past the Bucks in a playoff series and making it to the Eastern Conference Finals. And if they do that, maybe they win the NBA championship. Popped his Achilles back with the Warriors in the 2019 NBA Finals, and because of that, missed that entire season after. And then 2018-19, last year he was with the Warriors, 26, 6.5, 52% from the field, 35% from three. And really, the shooting numbers for KD, the efficiency, just tremendous at the end of the day. But we were having this conversation also as part of this talk with KD and these rumors continuing to simmer. Would it be good or bad for the NBA if KD returned to the Dubs? Because it would certainly not do much as far as the balancing out of competitiveness across the NBA. I want you to type G for good or B for bad. Now, a lot of you are watching us here on YouTube. You're also watching us on Rumble. For those of you on Rumble, thanks for kicking it with us there as we continue to grow to the platforms that you use on Rumble. Aside from our Warriors content, free and uncensored content, sports, news, politics, tech, business, give us a follow, rumble.com/WarriorsTV. When you plug in that link, as we have more than 3,000 followers on our Warriors channel, you just have to hit that green follow button. It's the same color as this graphic down here below. To Andrew Wiggins now, an anonymous NBA executive saying this about Andrew Wiggins: Golden State could look to trade Wiggins after signing him to a deal after next year because Wiggins' value right now is as high as it's been. Here it is from an anonymous NBA executive, and it makes a lot of sense, right? The Warriors are an aggressive organization. They're in a win-now mode. Anonymous NBA exec saying that the Warriors could look to trade away Andrew Wiggins. Now, they could look to sign him first to a deal, which then gives that acquiring team a little bit of flexibility and long-term security with Andrew Wiggins being on that roster. And this is interesting for a couple of reasons. Now, I would not trade away Andrew Wiggins because are there any negatives to what Wiggins brings to this team outside of the price tag? Very good two-way player. He locked down Jason Tatum. He's become a better offensive player over time. First All-Star game appearance. And I think as a third, fourth component to a championship team, that's the role that fits him best, and an elite two-way player. You take a look at what he did this past year en route to his first All-Star game. 17 points per game, 4.5 boards, 39% from three. There was a little bit of dip in production after the All-Star break, but then he was able to turn it on throughout the NBA playoffs. Of course, there were some rocky games from time to time, but Andrew Wiggins, he was a stud. And during the NBA Finals, I thought he legitimately was the number 2 best player on the Warriors, especially the impact and the imprint and the fingerprints he put on the defensive side of the floor. As for what that NBA exec had to say about Andrew Wiggins, obviously they are not going to move him now off of a championship where he was such a big contributor, but he is at his maximum value right now. It would be the right time to trade him, just they can't really do that. It is likely, though, that they will talk about an extension, maybe get him locked up, then look to trade him when his contract is secure. So grade Wiggins as a player right now. A lot of you are gamers. You hop on the sticks, you play NBA 2K. What do you think about Andrew Wiggins as a player? 1 to 100. 1, he's the worst player in the NBA. 100, he's one of the best. Let me know and let your voices be heard as you get those grades in. Now, what is the price tag going to be with Wiggins moving forward? Final year of his contract coming up. As he's going into the final year of his deal, $33.5 million. So what will his demand be on the open market? He could be worth a lot. And there could be a team out there willing to pay him $45 million, especially if he continues to improve, continues to get better, if he continues to show high level, premium two-way ability like he's been able to do with the Warriors. And he could decide to walk if he wanted to get the bag, because if another team offers him north of what he's making, then I'm not sure the Warriors would be able to afford him, and they would probably bank on Jonathan Kuminga, Moses Moody, Jordan Poole taking that next step at those guard and wing spots. I just think if you're Wiggins, look, you were exiled from Minnesota, and everybody was calling you a number 1 overall pick bust. And then he's been able to prove the doubters wrong. And I think he just fits so seamlessly on this team as that backup star option. He's never going to be a number 1 bona fide go-to guy, and that's okay. But if he's on this Warriors team, my goodness, he just fits in so well. So what would you do with Andrew Wiggins? You're in the shoes of Bob Myers. S for sign, T for trade. Let me know once more in the comment section. It's a tough choice. I'm holding on to Andrew Wiggins. I'm trying to get a deal done because he's part of this youth movement. Either way, you let me know right now in the comment section.